Welcome to your BostonSports.com and Red Sox Alley. I'm Rob Goodwin, along with my co-host John Korn.
John Korn here.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Great.
Opening day tomorrow.
The day that we all look forward to during the wintertime is finally here tomorrow. The Red Sox opening up at Camden Yards against the Orioles. A 3:05 p.m. start. It's not 1 o'clock. Don't believe what Nesson tells you. It's 3:05 p.m.
And they should have some good weather for it.
They should.
Yeah, it's going to be 60 degrees tomorrow in Connecticut, so we should be okay.
I hear there was some precipitation down in Baltimore today and possibly tonight, but hopefully the weather will clear. John Lester versus Chris Tillman, and this is John Lester's, I think, third consecutive opening day start. And it's kind of worth noting that the contract talks between Lester and the Red Sox have been put on pause for a little bit.
But they will get something done, I'm sure.
They will get it done. They didn't quite have enough time at this point, and I guess the negotiations have been described as amicable. So,
Amicable.
Amicable.
That sounds good.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
And you also look when Dustin Pedroia signed his contract, they didn't get it done in spring training, but a couple days afterwards or a little bit afterwards into the season, they got it done. Lester's in a little bit of a different predicament in that this is his free agent year. But what do you think? They'll get it done?
Oh yeah. He wants to stay. He was clear about it. Mm-hmm. Him and Pedroia and Poppy, three lifers.
That's a good point. Point.
Yeah, he'll stay.
So for tomorrow, I guess one question about the starting lineup is Shane Victorino scheduled for an MRI regarding his hamstring.
A hamstring pull.
He would not admit to an injury, of course, and he said he's ready to go. So we'll see tomorrow. They're going to be facing a right-hander, so you have to expect Victorino and Nava to be in the lineup as opposed to Johnny Gomes.
And the big surprise tomorrow, well, it's not a surprise right now, but it was a surprise if you said this last year, was Grady Sizemore. He's going to be their starting center fielder instead of Jackie Bradley.
Yeah, he went from the surprise of spring training to the surprise of opening day, which is
unbelievable. He's a great player. He was one of the great new guy back in 2007. He was a rookie for Cleveland, and he was one of those up and coming superstars. And he had a lot of injuries and a lot of bad luck, and evidently he's overcome a lot of them. And we have Jackie Bradley waiting in the wings as a center fielder.
Yeah, Jackie Bradley Jr. Obviously disappointed that he didn't make the roster and is starting the season at AAA. But things could change. There could be a roster move depending on what the story is with Victorino tomorrow.
And why is Nava on the roster and not Jackie Bradley? I don't understand that.
Well, Nava plays left.
He plays first base.
He plays first base.
He plays first base.
And he gets on base.
Yep.
He was, I think, in the top 10 on-base percentage last year in the whole league. Mm-hmm. So, I think that, this is going to be his second full season.
And what about Carp?
Carp's the one they couldn't trade. They were thinking about it, but, they looked at his production last year, how he comes off the bench, 9 home runs last year, had some big hits, can play first base, can play the outfield. So I think he was a very difficult one to trade, and he's one reason why Jackie Bradley Jr. possibly didn't make the roster.
He's the one who had that grand slam with the first pitch, and I remember that it was a game against the Tampa Bay last September. Bases were loaded, he came up to pinch hit.
Big one.
First pitch, boom, slammer.
Yeah.
Of course, they were doing that all year last year,
That's
which is something we can talk about in our predictions.
Right.
So I'm looking at this roster, and it looks pretty good.
There aren't a lot of surprises here, but there are a couple of newcomers that I think is worth talking about. Jonathan Herrera came over from the Colorado Rockies. He's a utility infielder. Doesn't play first base, although plays every other infield position. Played a couple games in left field in the past. But a guy that's going to hit you a single apparently, but not going to provide you too much pop at the plate. But as it was pointed out by someone, the Red Sox do not have a replacement for Will Middlebrooks. So it sounds like that job is his if he wants it.
Middlebrooks.
Third base, that's it. There's no one else.
Yeah.
There's no one else.
This is to lose, yeah.
What do you think of the confidence level with Middlebrooks and what kind of year he might have?
Oh, I'm confident. I think a lot of it had to do with injury and that kind of thing. He's had about 600 major league at bats. He's got about 30. He's got 30 home runs, major league home runs, which he's got power.
Right.
Defensively, he's okay. That's why he's a third base and not shortstop. But I think they're confident with him. Allegedly, when on the first day of spring training, Farrell told Bogarts to get a shortstop.
Right.
Not third base. Remember They were going to have Bogarts play third, maybe, and sign Drew. And
Yeah.
have him play. All that talk, and there was never any question. Bogarts is their shortstop, and Middlebrook is their third baseman. So they're confident, and they obviously know what they're doing. They're world champions for the third time in the last 8 years, which is something I never thought I'd say.
Right.
Did you ever think you'd see 3 world champions? I thought maybe I'd see 1.
Right.
Because
That would have been good enough.
3 in 8 years. That was. But they obviously know what they're doing with this. So yeah, we'll see how they do and see how the injuries are or aren't.
Right. I think when Drew declined that option at $4.1 million, that pretty much did it. I don't know how serious the Red Sox were with talking to him at all.
No one signed him.
No one. Guy's out of a job.
I don't get it. He's very good defensive.
No one wants to give up a draft pick these days. It is part of the system, but it's part of the fact that he should have said yes. Bottom line, he should have said yes. So Burke Badenhop came over from Milwaukee. Sinker balling right-handed reliever. Doesn't walk very many. Fits the mold of what the Red Sox like in a pitcher. So I think he's a great addition. Sounds like, well, it's not great, but a very solid addition to the bullpen.
Their bullpen is loaded, huh?
I would think so. I mean, his ERA last year was, thought I had it here, it's 3.47. And in 62 innings, 62 hits, that's a little bit high, but
42 strikeouts.
yep, 6 home runs.
12 home runs. No, 6 home runs.
6 home runs.
I'm sorry.
And he was
12 walks.
2-3. So, solid relievers are tough to come by, and they look for consistency, and hopefully he'll provide that, along with Mujica, and Tazawa.
Uehara,
Workman.
who will eventually be a starter.
Right, and Andrew Miller.
Andrew Miller's back. That's right.
He was having a great year when he got injured last year. So, I don't know, not a lot of surprises in the roster.
No.
They got rid of Morales, but and obviously we've talked before about Sultan Laki and the addition of A.J. Przinsky. And by the way, Clay Buchholz is the number 5 starter. He's gonna start the season in the 5th game, which lines up Jake Peavy to begin the season in the home opener.
But they don't have any other starters, which makes me nervous.
Well, they've stretched out Workman, so Workman's ready to slide in there if need be. And Workman, I think, should stay on the roster, period. You look at it from the standpoint, I mean, Farrell had enough confidence to put him out there in the 8th inning of the deciding game of the World Series.
Yep.
So why not, right?
Yep.
And don't forget, Chris Capuano, hasn't had a great career, but he's a left-hander who could contribute as well. So they've got, those 2 left-handers right now, Miller and Capuano. And then Breslow starting the season on the disabled list, although he's eligible to come off the disabled list on April 5th. So again, you're going to see a roster move there. You may see a roster move with Victorino depending on what happens with his MRI. So there's still going to be some movement there, which there usually is.
Yeah, of course. But it's pretty much the same lineup.
Yep.
As
Same
last
lineup,
year.
same lineup. Very similar roster.
What do you think of A.J. Przinsky being on the team?
Well, I mean, he apparently has not played in fewer than 128 games in 6 or 7 years. More pop than Salt Talamaki, I think, although he is a free swinger, which doesn't fit exactly with the Red Sox method of hitting, but that's okay. I think he'll be fine. I think he's good enough. I think he'll hit well. And if there is some injury issues, they've got Christian Vasquez coming up from AAA. They've got Burke Swihart, which supposedly he's really nipping at everyone's heels, although he's at a lower level. So I think they've got some depth there, anyways.
You know what's interesting? You have the salaries of the players, and
But that was confidential. I wasn't supposed to give that to you.
confidential.
All right.
Their cell phone numbers are on here too.
Yeah. So if you want to call Jay Peavy, his number is
Peavey.
800 Peavy. So what salary are you looking at?
Can I talk now?
Go ahead.
Okay.
By the way, yeah, go ahead.
No, I think it's interesting that a big market team like the Red Sox, I counted 5, if I'm looking at this correctly. It's only 5 players on the whole team with making more than $10 million. Which,
Wow.
I mean, that's an awful lot. I mean, you wouldn't see a whole team making $10 million 20 years ago. But if you look at the big market teams, they have a pretty good grasp on.
I'm looking at.
they're not-
Well, Gomes. I thought Gomes was making more than 5. Does that sound right? I thought he was making more like 10.
The only one that surprises me is Peavy. Peavy's making $16 million a year. I didn't. That's the only one that seems to be making more than.
I don't understand how Gomes is only making $5 million. I thought he was making more than that.
And
No, but this is-
Victorino's making $13 million.
Right.
Lackey 15 and Lester 11 million. And Poppy's making 14.
Although, don't forget that Lackey makes $500,000 next year,
Yeah, that's right.
based on his contract and his injury.
Yeah.
So that is interesting.
And but if we were looking at the Yankees roster, we'd probably be seeing 10 guys
Oh,
making this much.
that's right. Well, speaking of salaries, Miguel Cabrera signed a new contract. $292 million over 10 years, $29.2 million per year.
And it doesn't even start for 2 more years. It was an extension.
And he's got 2 option years.
He'll be 32 years old before that even starts, 2 years from now.
And he's got 2 option years for, I think, $50 more million.
Unbelievable.
And by the way, Clayton Kershaw, $30 million a year. He signed a $250 million contract over 7 years. By the way, he's on the DL.
Kershaw's on the DL.
He's on the DL. Yeah, he is.
You got your Justin Verlander, $180 million for 7 years, $25.7 million per year.
He signed that a year ago, and then there was a little bit of a discussion with Scherzer. He was offered a 10-year contract worth $24 million a year, and he turned it down. Poor guy.
How do you turn down $250 million?
And then the Tigers said, well, he turned it down. They weren't too happy about it. Dave Dombrowski apparently put a release out, and then they had to have a discussion to have him clear the air between the two of them. But I don't understand how a 10-year contract, security, plus a ton of money. At some point, we keep having this discussion every couple of years when, the first $20 million contract, then 25 with A-Rod, and now we're talking $32 million a year. Is there any time where are we going to, like 3 years from now, go, oh, the first guy making $50 million?
Yeah.
Are we ever going to?
Well, I was just thinking of Trout of the California Angels. He's only 22 years old. He's the best player in baseball, all-around player in baseball.
Right.
Cabrera's the best hitter, but Trout's the best player in baseball, and he's only 22 years old. You may see a $40 million a year. I mean, what's this? If this guy keeps getting better and better,
Right.
Cabrera's making $30 million a year. Why wouldn't he make at least that, if not more?
Right.
Yeah, it's out of control.
Well, I think it's been out of control. I think it's just that every time it goes another increment, we all kind of go, well, wait a minute. And word is that LeBron James has said he's jealous of Miguel Cabrera's contract. Now, LeBron James only makes $19 million.
Oh, poor guy.
Let's all cry.
Poor guy.
But it was written, and I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you have some opinions on this, that without a salary cap in the NBA, that LeBron James would make $50 million a year. I don't know. Maybe we need to do some kind of computer simulation to see what LeBron James would really make. Does anybody really care?
No.
Come on. So you talked about making some predictions.
Wow. $29 million a year for 10 years. Man, that is so over the top. Of course, he may be the best hitter since Ted Williams.
Sure. I mean, two consecutive MVPs, a triple crown 2 years ago.
I mean, the guy's going to hit 40 home runs this year and bat 350. I mean, there's no one in the major leagues that can come even close to doing that.
Right.
Nobody. He's better than Manny Ramirez was.
Yeah. No, he's something. We saw him play in the ALCS.
Oh.
Dangerous hitter to see at the plate, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
I mean, I'm thinking of the greatest hitters I ever saw. This guy here, Manny, Barry Bonds. I mean, you're not supposed to say that, but he was.
Right.
Barry Bonds. Then maybe like way back when we were little kids, Hank Aaron. I mean, this guy's. Yeah, you got if you go back 30 or 40 years, he's and you make a list of 5 guys. He's number 1 or 2. I mean, he's the best I ever saw.
Right.
He really is.
Oh, he can launch the ball.
Yeah.
No question. Great plate coverage. Great.
So if you
bat speed.
base it on that, I mean, you got a guy like, I mean, if Poppy's making $14 million a year,
And he's actually the extension next year will pay him $16 million.
Yeah. Why wouldn't the best hitter in our lifetime make almost twice that? If you base it on that.
Yeah, good point.
And if you base it on these guys are entertainers, what do entertainers make these days?
Right.
What does Jack Nicholson make a year?
Well, what does he make per movie?
Per movie.
Yeah, exactly.
What does Dave Letterman make a year?
I would say upwards of 15 to 20 million. Because, I mean, Jay Leno was making at least 14 million.
Do you think Miguel Cabrera is twice as talented as Jay Leno? I think he's probably 20 times as talented as Jay Leno. So, you could look at it that way.
But there are more guys hitting a baseball than there are doing late night television because there aren't that many networks. So, I'm just trying to look at it.
The other thing is, if you look at it talent-wise and compare it to any other entertainment area,
and these guys generate revenue for the team.
Sure.
But like a Dave Letterman generates a ton of revenue for the network. He may generate he may generate 3 times his salary in commercials. It's tough to. I think you have to look at it basically. How much is the guy making? How many people can do what he does? And Cabrera certainly is at the top. Mike Trout is at the top.
Yeah.
You have to look at it that way with these players.
I remember the time you and I went to the ring ceremony in 2005 when they played the Yankees. I was watching batting practice, and Gary Sheffield was taking batting practice. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
That big Coca-Cola sign they had behind the Green Monster.
Yep.
He hits a line drive, and it bangs the Coca-Cola sign. It rolls all the way back into the infield, and I'm thinking, there may maybe 10 people on the planet that can do what he just did.
Yeah.
So if you base it on that, I don't know, and it's really between them and the owners, I guess, what they're making. But
yeah, it's true.
So I don't know.
There's always one owner that's going to pony up money.
Yeah.
And it happens to be the LA Dodgers at this point with Clayton Kershaw, and of course they ponied up a lot of money, taking Beckett off our hands and taking Gonzalez off our hands.
Yeah.
Which led to a World Series championship.
And what's his name's hurt again? Crawford.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I heard he was hurt again. Yeah.
Huh. Anything serious?
I don't know.
I hope so. No, just kidding. I don't hope anyone's hurt seriously.
No. But the Tigers are doing the same. Look at Matt Scherzer. They offered him $240 million. He declined it, and then they gave Cabrera $292 million. So.
Well, that's probably why they didn't give Scherzer more money than that.
And then Verlander last year they gave him $180 million. So the Tigers are doing the same thing the Dodgers are doing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so as we said, 3:05 start tomorrow. PV starting the home opener at Fenway.
Friday, right?
Yep. Thoughts on the season? How things look right now?
Predictions, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, in the East, I got to go with Tampa Bay or Boston.
Not the Yankees?
The Yankees are going to win a lot of games. They got a lot of offense. They got better offense than both those teams put together, but their pitching. Do you see their pitching being?
The pitching's okay.
Yeah.
Nothing to shout at, but they've got a lot of offense on the bench. They've got. Don't forget they have Ichiro, and they have Alfonso Soriano, right? And they have Brett Gardner, and they have from the Cardinals, the right fielder from the Cardinals. We can't remember his name. So they've got a lot of offense on the bench. They got Teixeira, but the problem is, and I pointed out, I was on the Bird's Eye View podcast, which is an Orioles podcast last week. I pointed out that if you look at all those guys that I just named, Teixeira is the youngest one of all of them, and most of them are 36, 7, 39, 38. So they've got a lot of offensive pop, but they're old, and Jeter's old.
40.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I know our Mets fans are going to really give us a hard time for not remembering the right fielder's name they got from the Cardinals.
The Mets?
Yeah. Well, who used to play for the Mets?
Oh gosh.
Beltran.
Yeah,
Carlos Beltran.
Yeah.
Carlos Beltran.
Yeah.
He's 35. So there's an awful lot of age in that outfield, plus Teixeira. And, Girardi's going to have to manage how much playing time these guys get, which I'm sure he's capable of doing, as Farrell did last year and he's going to have to do it this year with the Red Sox roster.
I don't see the Yankees and Sabathia. Something's wrong with him.
They say he's
He lost about 5 miles an hour off
they
his
say he's pitching great, but you're right. He's pitching 86, 88.
He shows 86 miles an hour. He's got to, what do they call it, redefine yourself?
Yeah, reinvent yourself.
He's going to have to reinvent himself.
Yeah. Rehumanize yourself.
Dehumanize himself.
So,
Alakazam.
So, I was on the Bird's Eye View podcast, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, you told us that 3 times
I
already.
recommend everyone listen to it. Well, you cut me off. A lot of fun.
How's it feel?
They asked me, how do Red Sox fans look at the Orioles? Do they look at the Orioles as a threat? The Orioles have had a winning record against the Red Sox the past couple of years. And I think what I said, and you can tell me if I'm right, but the Red Sox really aren't worrying about any one team because the AL East is a known division that's very, very deep.
Very
and anyone
good.
can win. Even Toronto can win it. They've got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox are not fearful of anyone because I think they're fearful of everyone. It's a tough division to play in right now.
It's easily the best division in baseball.
And there's no
there are 5 teams that could conceivably take it.
Right.
But I think it's between Tampa Bay and Boston. Want to make a real quick prediction?
Well, like they pointed out, the Yankees always seem to be in it. Although last year they were tied with the Orioles with the 85-win season. But the Yankees always seem to find a way to do something. And even if it means a deal with the break where they'll take salary on, and improve themselves, they always seem to do it.
Want to make some quick predictions?
Yeah, I'll predict that Mariano Rivera will get no saves this year.
I predict that we're going to have to watch Jeter have ticker tape parades and everything in every city he goes to for the whole year.
I predict he's injured before the All-Star break.
Do you predict he's going to autograph Fenway Park's autograph the dugout at Fenway Park?
He's going to autograph home plate, and they'll use that same home plate all the time.
I want Yaz to autograph Yankee Stadium's dugout. That's what I want. Okay.
Yeah, you're referring
Then
to
I'll stop whining about Mariano Rivera autographing the bullpen at Fenway Park.
Yeah.
Please.
You hear what I said? They should have had him autograph inside left field wall and lock him in there for a couple hours.
I mean, Babe Ruth was dying of cancer. The man who invented modern baseball, the big stadium that we have now. Okay, and he came once, one ceremony. He said goodbye to everybody. Mm-hmm. Lou Gehrig, same thing. Mario Rivera again, and again, and again.
Well, Babe Ruth.
And they talk about the humility he had. Why would any guy with humility? Why would a Yankee with any humility autograph Fenway Park's bullpen?
That
I'm sorry, that was over the top.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to solve this. You know what that bullpen needs? A good coat of paint.
So really quick predictions. Besides Rivera was not going to have any saves.
Okay. I'm going to be
American League East.
I'm going to be relatively safe.
American League East.
I think I'm going to be relatively safe. The Red Sox will make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it's tough.
Central. American League Central.
I got to say Tigers, maybe Kansas City second.
Yeah, Kansas City. That's right. They've got a good team this year. West. That's a tough one.
That is tough. The question is, who's going to, if you say the Angels will win the division, who's going to be second? The A's, and they're up and coming.
Oakland wins
Texas
the division.
is tough.
Oakland wins the division.
Oakland wins the division. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, I mean, we don't know, but the Angels could. Texas. National League. What? East.
I'm gonna say the Nationals.
Yeah.
They look good.
I go with
they
that.
Look good.
Central Cardinals. There's no doubt about it. And West.
I would say the Dodgers, but I'm just not sure.
I'd go with the Dodgers.
I'm just not sure that organizationally that they're as good as everyone thinks they are. They've made some great acquisitions, and I'm not sure Don Mattingly is the best manager or as good a manager as people think he is. Do you think he is? I just have doubts about him.
Who's the wild card of the National League? Pittsburgh?
Yeah, probably Pittsburgh. Well, there's 2 wild cards.
Pittsburgh and maybe Arizona?
Yeah.
Atlanta?
Atlanta. Yeah. Philly, I don't think so. I think Philly's going to miss it again. That's another team.
Who's the wild card in the American League?
Well, I said the Red Sox would make it, so they could be one of the wild card teams.
I
would love to see Kansas City get the wild card too.
I'm thinking that Tampa Bay is going to win the division and Boston's going to be the wild card. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Yeah. And
See, you and Flanagan, when we started with the playoffs last year, Tampa's got great pitching. They're going to be tough. Yeah, the Red Sox got rid of them in 5 games. And I'm the only one who said, I don't disagree with you that they're tough, but I don't think the Red Sox will lose to them.
You said they weren't going to make the playoffs last year.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I don't remember that.
Nobody thought they were going to make the playoffs last year. Well, that's another thing, okay? How much of that is talent and how much of that is everything went right for them? And yes, that's part of your talent when everything goes right for you. If you're talented, things are going to go right for you.
Well, and I'll tell you.
So a lot, people say, well, yeah, walk-off hits all the time, but that's what good teams do.
Right.
So
Tampa went through a tough time before they kind of straightened things out at the end in September. They went through a tough losing streak, and they came back.
Boston, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So they did what good teams do. They came back in September,
Yep.
and Boston did what good teams do. They get lucky. Well, they got lucky. They had 20 walk-off. They had 20 walk-off or come from behind wins in the ninth inning. They were lucky. Well, that's what good teams do.
That's what good teams do.
Get lucky.
And good managers put players in position to be successful.
When someone's successful, they look lucky.
And I think Farrell had something to do with that.
Yeah.
Putting Gomes in the right spot, and Nava, and putting Carp. Carp was basically cast off from the Mariners. And look what he did for the Red Sox.
So yeah, I would predict the Red Sox are going to make postseason. But it is hard to predict who's going to win the division.
Right.
Because you got 5 good teams there.
Yep. Exactly. Well, we're really looking forward to tomorrow. I'm sure everyone is. Remember, 3 o'clock start, so leave work early. Don't worry, your boss says it's okay. You leaving work early tomorrow?
No.
You going to be driving around?
I'll be listening on the radio on the way home from work.
Yep.
And then I'll watch it, watch from 6th inning on, probably.
Yep.
5 o'clock, whatever.
I won't be watching it at all. I want my boss to hear that. Nope, I'm working till the end of the day.
What time do you leave work?
About 5 o'clock.
It'll be the 3rd inning by then.
Right.
We're gonna have they're gonna stop the game and review plays and stuff like that. That's gonna stretch the game out to 5 hours.
Right,
so.
and then they can God Bless America, whatever they do with the 7th inning.
Yeah.
Sweet Caroline, the 8th inning.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll catch something on TV when you get home.
Yeah.
You'll catch something on TV.
Oh man.
Well, here's to a great Red Sox season. I can't wait. And great having you in the studio today.
Thank you.
I know a lot of people are rooting for the Yukon Huskies. I think the game is in progress as we speak now.
2:30, right?
Yeah, so for those who are watching Huskies, we hope they won for your sake. I'm not a Huskies fan. I know you're not either, but
No, I'm a Hartford Hawks fan. They're
Yeah.
the local college
right.
team.
That's my alma mater where I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
But for our
I'm not
friend,
smart enough. I wasn't smart enough to go to college, so I didn't go to college
I thought you went to college.
for 2 years.
2 years. Okay. So for those who watch the Huskies, hope they won today. And again, thanks for joining me today in the Central Connecticut studio of your BostonSports.com and Red Sox Alley. Hope everyone has a great day and have a great time watching the game tomorrow.